Hello and welcome. Today's date comes in at a Friday, the 20th day of September 2019. My name is Derek, and all bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. It's another day, another 9,803 Satoshi. And there's not too much really to go over with all these videos. It's all about story just maintaining, nothing changing, or resuming and stuff like that. Well, within Bitcoin against the dollar, we can see the 15-minute session at that of 2300 hours, September 18th, Eastern Time, falling down, but pretty much to this level of Fibonacci, resisting it for a very short period of time, small level of price, as it was just this 4 bars or 4 periods or three even, barely going down, and then getting above it, barely supporting it, and a beautiful up move, 2 legs higher from the break of the 9800 as it got up here. It went through time, and that's what a lot of these markets will do: up or down and big, and then go sideways. Well, down big and well, up big sort of, but sideways, up big, sideways, up big, sideways, and that's what it is. And this is like down, so technically, it's like down, sideways, like that, and then up, sideways, and then the last same with, of course, this, and then the most recent one. And price stays within this long range since June the 21st, as it's September 20th, and I'm just thinking of this now, and this is the day I remember seeing on the calendar. New season. That means north of the equator for the next 6 months, more darkness than light, as far as what we see. And in yesterday's session, price did get down below this, but as I've been stating before, we've just been staying really tight and getting still remaining very symmetrical within this 18 and the price, as we've got these higher. I've been mentioning these higher lows, and well, even though this is technically a lower low, price action has maintained itself within the 18, but nothing to break any of this type of downtrend line. Yes, technically the lows that connect this low and this low right now, that'd be at like 10.4 or whatever. But as far as it goes, it hasn't had any hold. It hasn't held and stayed below 99.30 ish area. So there's really, it's just all yada yada kind of stuff. As far as the Bitcoin dominance is concerned, it's a lot of pausing. Well, that's what's going on today. Decent size statement decline, band flattening out, establishing that of support, and well, that's where we still stand. We don't know if this is going to be established support. It could still go like this and establish it here. But if price action does make any move to get to the 18 via that either price and or time, then that would be stage 3, the correctionary move within the last play, or coming back to the band that way. And then reversal of trend, of course, is coming back and taking out the previous low, as it is really just maintaining itself. Now, if we shorten it out, and I'm going to remove this volume, I'm going to remove the volume and then remove the lines, and I'll just take it now to the 8 hour, then 3. And from the move, it was a continuous sudden move from the 4 o'clock timestamp, September 14th, almost 1 week ago. And even really from this point in here, as really for big time from this high, because you have a good sudden sweep down, correctionary play higher, correctionary play sideways, and then a little bit of a small move in here, just the start of a down move, a little bit of correcting here, a pause period there, and then a massive waterfall decline. Well, it could be more massive, but still a massive one nonetheless. And since then, an ascending triangle has multiple hit levels of resistance, but more importantly, correctionary phase is both through price and time. It has now managed to hit this correctionary level. It also means, and I know this is market cap, this isn't a price of anything, but as far as the analysis goes, when you have big moves in here, you're way overextended as you're going lower, and you're bound to go lower. But if you're starting to make a move in any type of market like this, where you come up, you hit this, and it falls down, well, you oftentimes expect a significant break below that previous level of support. And it still has a long ways to go to correct this thing. On the 3 hour chart, more just correcting through time, but just breaking above this resistance, you can start to fill a lot of this, but it's all going to come down the daily. For me to say that this thing is ready to make a new break above the resistance between the 72 and 73 handle, I need to see something above the 18 average of highs at that level. And right now it's still a little bit below it. Thus, any good move ups is still making it into lower high territory. Possible lower high territory, of course. But it's that's what I need to see on a bullish level. So if it gets to 72, 73, then I could be saying, okay, guys, watch out for a major Bitcoin rally, a major altcoins and or altcoin sell off. And then, of course, continuation lower would result in the very rare situation of multiple coins going down, Bitcoin and altcoins. But Bitcoin hard, no, that probably won't happen. This going down would result in altcoins having very good gains, and Bitcoin maybe doing well, maybe doing average, or maybe even losing small, but having spots where you see like all the other coins going up 20, 30, 15, 8% in a day, where Bitcoin's up 2.5, stuff like that. And maybe not that big, but yeah, some coins maybe even the average altcoin might be up 4 when Bitcoin's up 2. Those types of days. And silver, not much to go over here because that's I talked at the end of last week, last Friday, the last 2 Fridays were like cliffhangers or however you want to call it, soap opera endings. As the previous week, there was a failed breakdown that was at that stage where it's pretty much the time where you would see it embedded, if you will. And last week, which was down in here, it was at a key Fibonacci where, quote unquote, again, you would bet at this time not to short but to go long. And we can see, well, you got your gains, and you pretty much had all week to sell at the high 17s. And that's that. It's not much more to say. There was a failed breakout here, but it didn't break down. Failed breakout because it got above previous resistance, had a nice move above the 18 highs. No, it did break down to here, but didn't hold and stay above it. And that move was a failed breakdown as well. And just like this didn't break down, this hasn't broken out since this failed move. Really, it's just more continuation choppiness, extending the range of the move of both the resistance and support. Because originally the main range was between 1773 and 3 tenths. You can eliminate that 3 tenths. But for the most part, you can almost go on the exact like 1773, 1774 though. And resistance was originally established at 18 even, but it got upgraded, of course, to about 18 and dime. And this got downgraded or upgraded, however you want to talk about it, to about 1757. And then on the daily chart for silver, it's still in this nice little up move, and it's just been correcting a little bit, showing you could say weakness amongst the 18 average of lows, or stage one band flattening out, stage two established support at 1740. We've been in stage three, breaking down below this. If you see price holding and staying between 1740 and 17 and 2/3 for a good decent amount of time, then that would give me good probability odds that it might come down to about 16 and 2/3 to about high 16s. But not much more to go over here. In fact, I spent way too much time going over markets I just wanted to breeze by. A good thing that this is the last market I want to talk about, but I want to talk more about this one, and I talked about this yesterday, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this more in depth, which is the Litecoin Ethereum cross. As I was stating, it looks like this is gonna go down, and so because of well, how we can see how we resisted this on September a few days ago, leaving the 18 as we have been. We've been consolidating for 2 3 days at the double hit support back in at the end of June and July, as well as that area that was in play in May. And because of that, I'm expecting this to have a leg lower, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down into somewhere around the 27, 28 area ballpark. But what I want to take a look at is this is the actual market itself on the Bittrex exchange. And instead, I'm going to take a look at this on the reversal. And instead of showing Litecoin divided by Ethereum, let's take a look at Ethereum divided by Litecoin and actually even have more data as well. And in flipping, it's now 2.878, or 1x of the other number. 1x meaning 1 divided by that number, 1 divided by 2.87. Okay, so the same thing here with the resistance points on the polar opposite, how it's leaving the 18 average of highs amongst this example. And when looking at this on multiple term time frames on the 3 day, we can see a nice little bullish setup in this example, price action going down. And in this case, it is price action. in mostly almost every case. It's just the ratios really. No, excuse me. The dominance of Bitcoin isn't price action, but it's reflected from it. And let's just move on to this as we were supposed to do, or move away from what I wasn't referring to. So the levels of support was resisted. You can make a case of there was a cup or a double bottom in here that didn't break the neckline, but since the double bottom, which is like two V's, two U's, just like that, but since the double bottom, it higher lows it at the 18 average of lows, showing a lot of strength in this example at the 18 average of highs for very close to or around that of a dozen periods. And this one is just leaving that because that would exit the status of showing strength at the 18 highs. It would change the status to breakout slash exitation of the 18 highs. And when you have that type of stuff, the possibility of going to these higher areas becomes more probable. And not only does it become more probable, but the time element and how it gets there usually becomes good because normally what happens when you have a big move is you have a concise break to next level in one form or another. And oftentimes concise moves can happen in like, well, in a spot like this, maybe it's like 5, 6, 7 periods, 8 periods, or less than one, but 3 weeks maybe. And switching this up to the weekly term, we can see more about this little break in here, this double. It's just a nice little pattern when you look at this on a bullish level this way. And all the choppy action in here. That's the one thing I love about ratios and the ratio trading. Now, the problem with me with Ethereum and Litecoin, one, the volatility leaves a little to be desired. But I can get away from that because I'm trading Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash together. Same thing, that the volatility there isn't anything fantastic. But I still like those coins. But Ethereum, problem. The exchange fees to get them off anywhere, it's just not what I desire. So this pattern here broke. We had to move down, move up. Volatility here was still pretty good. 2 to about 7.5. That's not quite 4x. Which, if you were to say this to me back in 2010, oh, this is what a chart that will span that of about 3 years and change, 3.5 years. Not even that, barely more than three. What would I'd be like? Wow, this is just wild. This is an extremely volatile OMG kind of move because I'm talking about a higher low and a lower high as having that type of move. But if I talk about this play up to here, well, now we're talking about 1 2/3 up to about 12, and now about a 7 or so x move, 7.5, and that to happen, well, basically ending 2016 and topping at the end of March. So a 1/4 move, the first quarter of 2017, it did all that. And since that first quarter has come to that completion, the price has came close, but never to this low. Close here and close there, and now is further away, being that it's here. And price action on here, it retested it. Maybe it pierced above it here, but it was a matching one quickly thereafter. And quickly thereafter, it was with extreme volatility. Not only did it go down this fast, but you could have like moves. Well, here you have a spot where this low on this red candle is at like 317 and then 495. With that being said, when you were to look at other coins together, this was really, really bad volatility. Monero is another one for just having low moves, but there's a lot of people, especially with the high, large amount of volatility the cryptos have, why they'd be like, this is better, but this is still too much for me kind of deal for a lot of people. And that's what I think is great about the crypto game is, well, the volatility. And if we look back even further, in 2016, this thing got going, and one of the things that's interesting about a move, whenever a market can have a very significant move up or down, if it can really truly sustain it, then that shows you that it's a real move. or at least it brings you the high prospects for such. Case in point, I'm not going to bring another chart to go through this example because, and they're easy to find. But when you're looking at, say, short term and even a lot of other long term analysis, like say you're looking at one market that's been doing whatever, and then it does this, like in 4 hours or something, and then it does this. Well, okay. I mean, this move was supposed to hold that went from point low to point high, and then a lot of times, well, they just don't. So now we have a situation of move from point low to point high. And what has happened since then? Well, first, let's put a line up where the previous high has been in. The net result that spans and has not ended yet from March of 2016, 3.5 years, has been congestion at the high, spending a good amount of time at both levels above and below the line, decently above and below it, but enough where it's just congesting because it didn't break down anywhere below this low 2 number to end the trend. It only had one extension leg higher, which obviously hasn't broke it since. But meanwhile, the whole time, this market has held that rally through the sideways move. Now, as it comes down to it now on a technical level, this gives you reason why, okay, this thing could be good moving forward. And I'm showing this against Litecoin. Litecoin has done really well in the past too. So if I'm showing this against another competitive strong currency, that's what the whole point is. I can show this. I was planning on showing this against stuff like feather coins and the black coins and all those other shit coins. And it's much, and then it's so much different. It's just skyrocketing, of course. Other than the fact that because of the fact of volatility, yeah, I'm going to show it after this. I'm going to show Potcoin. That's a perfect example because then I get that point across about the volatility. But amongst this, you have the major support that is held and multiple layers of resistance. So the first one, 4 4/9, and then again at around a little over 6, and then the big one, which would span up to close to a dozen or 12. And bottom line is, if Litecoin works in and does well, all this is probably supposed to do is really stay in this range. And again, as far as trading ratios together, that's why I like it because I'm hoping for more of this choppy kind of action. So then let's now take a look at the Ethereum and Potcoin cross. Not an explosive move. It's at the upper end of this range. It's already gotten above the resistance that this one played out. We'll ignore this line in here, and even maybe this. And the question is maybe. But we look at the size of these moves. So 500 in the lower areas, 400, 500, 800. Now we're at 25,000, 28,000 rather. This line is near 20. We had some of this resistance here at 3. So from this level here to around 550, 10 times is 5,500. And then 100 times would be 55,000. Well, not quite there. So 25,000 would be about 50. And well, it's just gotten past a 50x gain from these 2017 lows. But because of the phenomenal gains in which Potcoin was enduring, and we can see when did this decline? August 26th, down to here. So that would have been a spot where obviously Potcoin would have had a good rally. But again, we see a top from October 2017 into here. So another situation there as well that they would have their moves. I mean, this is what the Potcoin looks like, and it's not really log chart, so I have to do this to make it work. But it gets a much different chart. You can see the idea of its volatility in the moves. Like, oh, this move here this is the 2016 move, going from 100 Satoshi to like 2,300. And it's given everything back to the point where this is now congesting below the area of the major support that it had in 2016. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.